Hi everyone, and welcome to The Sleepy Scientist. I'm really happy you're here. Tonight, we're going to go on a calm and quiet trip to learn something amazing. So get comfy, take a deep breath, and let's enjoy this peaceful science story together. Before we start, tell me in the comments, where are you watching from and what time is it for you right now? If you like relaxing science videos, don't forget to tap the like button. Now let's begin. Imagine a river that no one can see with their eyes, yet it carries every planet, every star, and even the light itself. This river is space-time. It is the quiet fabric that holds the universe. It is not a cloth you can touch, and it is not air you can breathe. It is the gentle stage where everything happens. When you walk across a room, when a leaf falls from a tree, when the moon circles the earth, they all ride this slow, steady flow. In most places, the river feels calm and almost flat. You could float for ages and never notice a bend. But then, sometimes the river curves. It deepens. It turns in on itself like a whirlpool that you cannot see, only feel. In those places, time slows down and space leans inward. We call those deep curves gravity. And when gravity grows without end, when the river falls into a bottomless pit of its own making, we call that pit a black hole. Think of space-time as a soft field of grass stretching in all directions. Place a small pebble on the grass, and the blades bow just a little. That is a tiny mass making a tiny dent. Now set a heavy stone on the same field and the blades bend more. The dent becomes a shallow bowl. Place a mountain there and the grass would fold into a deep well. In our real universe, the pebbles are planets and the stones are stars, and the mountains are stars that have died and fallen into something even denser. The deeper the dent, the stronger the gravity. The stronger the gravity, the slower time moves for anything entering that dent. If you stood far away and watched a clock near a deep well in the field, you would see its hands creep. If you stood near the well and watched your own clock, it would feel normal, because you live in that slowing. Time is kind, but it is not the same everywhere. Our sun shapes a broad bowl in the space-time grass, and the earth rolls along the curved edge like a quiet bead on a wide ring. The earth does not fall into the sun, because it is always moving sideways, and the curve keeps it turning rather than dropping straight in. This is how orbits work. Gravity is not only a pull, it is a path, a curve, an instruction the universe gives to motion. Follow the bend. Light follows the bend too. Even though light is swift and seems weightless, it can be guided by the shape of space-time. When light passes near a heavy star, it arcs just a little, like a strand of silk drawn across the rim of a bowl. When light passes near something heavier, the arc grows. This bending of light lets us see around corners of the cosmos. It is one of the whispers that tell us the river is real. Now picture a star many times larger than our sun. For most of its life it burns bright and pushes outward with heat and light. The push keeps it swollen, keeps it standing tall against its own gravity. But the fuel in its heart is not endless. When the fuel runs out, the star cannot hold itself up. Gravity, patient and steady, takes the lead. The star folds inward, down, 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 until its matter is squeezed into a space smaller than anyone can easily imagine. The dent in the grass becomes so deep that the bottom is not only far, it is unreachable. The bending becomes a tumble. Somewhere along this fall, light itself cannot climb out. That somewhere is the event horizon, the one-way shore. Outside the horizon you can still send a signal to the universe. Inside, every path you could take, even at light speed, curves deeper in. time and space are tilted so sharply that forward in time and inward in space are the same direction. Wherever you try to go, you also go deeper. The event horizon is not a wall. There are no stones marking the edge. If you drifted toward it, you might not notice crossing it. No alarm would ring, no light would flash. Yet if you tried to turn around after that crossing, you would find that every road, every route, every tiny path forward leads further in. It is like walking on a gentle slope that forever tilts in the same way. Your steps feel normal, your breathing is calm. The view looks oddly still, but the hill you're on is not like any hill you have known. It is not a hill in space, it is a hill in time. Going forward in time pulls you inward, and you cannot go backward in time. No one can. So the horizon is a line in the story where forward becomes inward, and the end of the story is a point called the singularity, a place where our math, our ideas, and our safe pictures all blur. If you stood very far away from a black hole and watched a friend fall toward it, you would see something strange. Your friend would seem to move slower and slower as they reached the event horizon. Their clock would tick slower. Their voice, if you could hear it, would stretch and lower. The light from their body would shift to red and dim. To you, they would never quite cross the edge. They would freeze at the border, fading until they were too dim to see, like a firefly drifting into evening fog. But your friend, who carries their own clock and their own breath, would feel no such freezing. They would drift past the horizon without noticing a special moment. This is because each person carries their own time, their own rhythm called proper time. What you see from far away is not what they feel up close. The universe allows both stories to be true at the same time. It is a gentle confusion, a soft double picture, like seeing your reflection on a pond while a fish sees the sky through the same water. Time is a flexible companion. It stretches in the presence of gravity. Near mountains of mass, it slows. Near a black hole, it almost stops compared to the open quiet far away. Imagine reading a book next to such a deep well. Your pages turn at a calm pace for you. But for someone outside, your pages seem to turn with great delay. The words inside your day are long to them. This stretching is not a trick, it is the shape of reality. It is why the GPS in your phone must keep careful track of tiny shifts in time. The satellites up high feel less gravity and run a little faster. Your phone down here feels more gravity and runs a little slower. Our tools must blend these clocks so that your maps do not lead you astray. The universe speaks in these soft differences every day, in the fall of apples, in the spin of planets, in beams of light skimming the sun. All are parts of the same song. When people speak about entering a one-way future, they often imagine what it would be like to cross the horizon and keep going. They wonder, is the inside a tunnel? Is it a door? Could there be a way through to somewhere else? The truth, as we understand it now, is steady and quiet. The inside is not a hallway but a fate. Once you are inside, all futures lead inward. It does not matter if you fire rockets. It does not matter if you wave your arms like wings. Every choice becomes a different path down the same slope of time. If you draw arrows on a sheet of paper to show where you could go next, every arrow points to the center. That is what one way means here. It means that later and deeper are the same word, yet standing outside you are safe. The black hole, for all its fearsome name, is tidy. It does not reach out with claws, it does not chase you. You must come very close to feel its special pull. From a distance, it is just another mass like any other. only more compact. Stars circle it. Gas warms and glows as it spirals in, forming rings that shine in X-rays and radio waves. Sometimes these rings are as bright as small galaxies. The light is not from the hole, but from the matter falling toward it, rubbing against itself, heating up as it tries to choose a path and finds only the slope. Some of that matter escapes before it crosses the horizon. It flares and jets along the poles of the spin, narrow beams that shout across space. These are lighthouses, but they do not mark safety. They mark the hunger of geometry, the busy edge of a silent core. To understand the calm power of a black hole, it helps to return to the river image. A quiet river flows downhill. A leaf floating near the bank can drift away to a wider stream and then to the sea, but a leaf that crosses a waterfall's lip will not drift back upstream. There is no anger in this. There is only the shape of the water and the pull of earth. The event horizon is like that lip. It is not a cruel rule, it is the way the path is laid. Entering the horizon is crossing the point where every future is downstream to the fall. When we ask if you can enter a one-way future, we are asking, can you step onto a part of the river where the only way forward is the plunge? The answer is yes, if you go close enough, and also no, if you stay in the wide, gentle reaches where the river can still fork and meander and give you many choices. But even outside the horizon, time near a black hole behaves differently. Your minutes stretch, your seconds lengthen compared to a faraway observer. If you were an explorer hovering just above the edge, the rest of the universe would seem to rate ahead. Stars would live and die in what feels like a single watching. Galaxies would shift like slow clouds hurried into dance. Your own experience would be calm. Your heart would beat. Your breath would rise and fall. But the world beyond would turn its pages very quickly. This is another sense in which a black hole gives a one-way feeling. You step near it, and the universe's story moves on without you. You can leave and return to the distant stars, but many years may have passed out there. You would carry a pocket of slow time back with you, like a pebble from a deep shore. Some black holes spin. They twist space-time around them like stirred honey. Near such a hole, space itself is dragged around and anything nearby must swirl too. This is called frame dragging. If you tried to hover close, you would get caught in the turn. You would feel space nudging you. Not like wind, not like water, but like a rule that says, here, all things must circle. The spin flattens the hole a little and creates a region where movement is hard to resist, a zone where you must rotate just to stay put. It is a soft command engraved in the fabric, a quiet insistence of geometry. Even with this twist and this pull, it is important to remember something gentle and true. Black holes are simple in their outer signs. If you are far away, you can describe one with only a few words. Its mass, its spin, and its electric charge, which is usually close to zero. This simplicity is almost like shyness. All the things that fell in, the shapes, the stories, the heat, and the whispers, are forgotten by the outside. Only the total mass remains, only the final spin. 1,000 different paths into the hole leave the same calm face for the distant sky. In that way, a black hole is a kind of quiet equalizer. It turns many details into a single shadow. As we drift along these thoughts, it helps to keep the human scale close. A black hole could be as small as a city or as wide as our solar system. Yet the feeling around them is not unlike the feeling of standing at the edge of a cliff looking down at the sea at night. The air is still. The stars are cold and bright. The waves are sounds more than shapes. You feel drawn and you feel small, but you're not in danger if you stand back. The cliff is a place of learning. It shows you the line between here and there. It teaches you about edges. A black hole teaches about time's edges. It shows that time can be tilted. It shows that a path can narrow until every step forward is toward one point. There is a kindness in how the universe lets us think about these extreme places using simple pictures. A dent in grass, a river turning to a waterfall, a bead circling a bowl. None of these are perfect. The truth is richer and stranger, held in math that hums like music many of us cannot play. But the pictures are bridges. They let the heart walk into ideas that might feel cold if we met them only as numbers. They also keep us safe from fear. A black hole is not a monster. It is a region where the rules we already know are pushed to their quiet limit. You might ask, if nothing can escape once inside, how do we know black holes are there? We know because of what they do to what is around them. We see stars move in tight curves, faster than seems possible, around an invisible center. We see rings of hot gas glowing in high-energy light. We see shadows, neat and round, in the glow of that gas, a circle where light falls in and does not return. We watch pairs of black holes merge, and the space-time river ripples outward as waves we can now hear with special instruments. Those waves carry the shape of the dance, how heavy the partners were, how fast they turned, how they met and became one. These are not guesses in the dark. They are gentle touches, measurements gathered with patience that tell us the holes exist and behave much as our ideas predict. If we ever tried to visit the edge of a black hole, we would use robots first, and then maybe one day brave humans. We would test how close a machine can hover without falling in. We would measure the slowdown of time by comparing clocks. We would watch the sky speed up. We would feel the drift of space being dragged around a spinning hole. We would send light signals and count how long they take to return, and we would see their colors stretch as they climb out of the deep. We would not try to cross the horizon, not because the crossing itself would hurt, but because returning is not part of that story. We would sit near the edge instead, like a quiet diver resting at the lip of a deep blue sinkhole, listening to the water, touching the surface, letting the unknown remain unknown a little longer. The idea of a one-way future can feel heavy. It can sound like an ending, but there is a softer way to hold it. Every choice we make in life is a step we cannot undo. We walk forward. We cannot walk back to yesterday. This is not sad, it is the gentle rule of time. The black hole makes this rule show itself in a clearer way. It says, past is past, future is forward, and in some places forward is also inward. You can choose to approach or to stay away. You can choose to learn from a distance or to lean near the edge and feel the stretch of seconds. The power to choose ends at the horizon. Before that, it is all yours. So we stand here, far yet close, thinking of silent rivers and deep wells. The stars above us carry on. The Milky Way turns like a slow wheel. At its center rests a heavy, calm black hole that many stars circle in peace. It has been there longer than any of our stories. It will be there long after we are gone. It does not rush. It does not rage. It is the universe showing us how time can lean. It is a lesson written in gravity's hand in the language of curves. And as we breathe and listen, we understand a little more. The path of light, The bend of space, the quiet slope that becomes a one-way road not because it is cruel, but because it is simply the way forward in a place where forward and inward are one. When you close your eyes and picture the black hole now, let the image be calm. See the ring of warm gas, the soft shadow like an ink drop on a lantern. See the stars circling, patient as dancers in a slow waltz. Feel the tug in your chest that is not fear but wonder, the wish to know and to keep a respectful distance at the same time. Feel your own time, gentle and steady, beating in your wrist. It is yours. It is your proper time, the story that is written from inside your own ship of skin. And in this moment, floating in the wide, safe part of the river, you can choose where to look, where to drift, what to learn next. You can wonder about the edge, and you can savour the peace of not crossing it. The universe leaves both choices open, and in that open space, curiosity rests like a small bird in your hands. Let us drift deeper into this quiet river of space-time, where the story of black holes becomes even more than a shadow in the sky. Imagine again that great star collapsing, its layers folding one after the other, like petals of a dying flower closing forever. What remains is not only a hole, but a place where time itself begins to take on shapes that no meadow or river can fully describe. To understand it, scientists use equations that seem to hum like distant music, the notes weaving together the curves of space and the slope of time. But here, we will speak softly and simply, for the ideas can flow into pictures that anyone can hold in the heart. A black hole is not only an end, it is also a beginning of questions. Around it, space swirls with storms of matter. Gas and dust that once drifted free are pulled into orbits that spiral inward like whirlpools. As the gas tightens, it grows hot, brighter than a million suns, until it radiates not in the colours our eyes see, but in the higher notes of X-rays. We cannot look at these lights without special instruments, but they tell us a story. They whisper that the whole is feeding, that space-time is bending, that matter is learning what it means to fall where falling never ends. In these spirals, called accretion disks, friction builds. Particles rub against one another like hands warming in winter. The rubbing slows them, the slowing pulls them in. Yet sometimes, instead of all being lost, narrow jets of energy escape, shooting out along the poles of the spin, like arrows of light thrown into the void. These jets travel far, sometimes across whole galaxies, carrying whispers of the black hole spin into the interstellar dark. They are not escapes from the horizon, but gifts from the edge, where magnetic fields and motion twist together to hurl matter outward before it can slip too far. In those jets, entire stars could hide, yet they appear to us as fine beams, thin and sharp, lighthouses on a cosmic shore. Now imagine standing near such a disk, if such a thing were safe. The light would be too strong, the radiation too fierce, yet in thought we can float nearby. You would see matter moving faster and faster as it circled inward. At the outer edge, the gas might take minutes to go around. Closer in, the gas would circle in seconds. The difference in speed creates heat, a heat so great that atoms shiver apart, leaving only bare nuclei and electrons, a plasma glowing with energy. To watch it would be like looking into a forge that never cools, a furnace without end, yet all of it drawn towards silence, toward the dark horizon where no glow can remain. But deeper than the light and the disks, deeper than the jets, lies the most curious part of all, the way time behaves. Near a black hole, The rules are no longer what they are in our calm gardens and city streets. Clocks tick slower, distances bend. Even the order of cause and effect begins to blur at the edges of thought. Some scientists wonder whether black holes could connect to other regions of space-time, forming tunnels we call wormholes. These tunnels are not proven and they may never exist as real doors, but the math allows them, like a dream folded into the possible. If they were real, stepping into a black hole might not mean only falling inward, but also reaching out to somewhere else, another time, another pace. Yet these are fragile ideas, like dew on grass that vanishes when the sun climbs. The more we test them, the more they may slip away. What we do know is that time near a black hole is stretched so deeply that it can act like a bridge to the future. Suppose you hovered near the horizon while your twin stayed far away. You both had the same age when you parted. You linger near the black hole for a day by your watch, then return. To your twin, years or centuries may have passed. You are the younger now, not by months but by lifetimes. You have entered the future not by choice of invention, but by the simple leaning of time. This is not science fiction. This is relativity tested and known. The one-way future is not a myth but a quiet promise written in the language of curves, and yet the singularity inside, the point where density becomes infinite, is still hidden from us. No light escapes it, no signal tells us its truth. Our equation suggests that space and time as we know them stop there, crushed into a single point with no size. But this is not a picture anyone can feel fully. Our physics may break down before the singularity, like a story ending mid-sentence. Perhaps quantum laws, those tiny rules that govern atoms and quarks, soften the point into something else, a loop, a bounce, a foam of space-time that refuses to be crushed. Some imagine that black holes are seeds for new universes, each singularity blooming to a cosmos of its own. We do not know. We can only listen to the silence and wait for better tools, better songs to reveal the truth. The mystery of the horizon deepens when we ask about information. If matter falls in, where does its story go? The atoms of a book, the letters on its pages, the shape of its cover, all vanish beyond the edge. But is the information lost forever? This question, known as the black hole information paradox, has stirred gentle storms in physics for decades. Stephen Hawking once said, "Yes, the information is lost." Later he softened, and theories grew that the information might be preserved in subtle ripples on the horizon, like whispers etched into the surface. Others think it escapes slowly with Hawking radiation, a faint glow predicted to rise from the horizon itself. This glow is not from matter falling in, but from the vacuum of space, from quantum pairs of particles appearing and splitting with one falling in and the other escaping. Over long ages, this glow could let the black hole shrink, fade, and finally vanish, leaving only light behind. If true, even the darkest well in space-time has a way of ending, a way of returning its silence to the stars. Now imagine the timescales. A black hole as heavy as a mountain would vanish quickly, in a breath of cosmic terms. A black hole the size of a star would take longer than the age of the universe we know, and the giants at the centres of galaxies, billions of times heavier than our sun, would take far, far longer. Longer than all the ages we can picture, longer than the cooling of stars, longer than the fading of galaxies. They would sit at the heart of silence, glowing faintly with Hawking light, outliving almost everything. Yet even they perhaps would one day be gone, leaving only the memory of their pull written into the pattern of the cosmos. To think of these scales is to step out of human time. Our days are measured in hours, our lives in decades. A black hole's time is measured in millions, billions, trillions of years. To compare them is like comparing the flicker of a candle to the flow of glaciers. And yet both matter. The candle lights a room, the glacier shapes a valley. The human life wonders, writes, dreams. The black hole bends galaxies, sculpts light, teaches us that time is not a single rhythm but a vast symphony, where some notes are brief and some are endlessly long. As we sink deeper into this story, let us return to the river once more. The black hole is the deepest waterfall, the steepest descent. If you float near it, you hear the rush of water turning to mist, though in space there is no sound. If you drift far, you see only a calm bend in the stream. Both pictures are true, and both belong to the same river. The universe holds these dual truths without strain, as if it were easy. And perhaps for the cosmos, it is. It is only for us, who carry fragile minds and short lives, that these truths feel heavy. Yet if we hold them gently, they are not heavy at all. They are like stones at the bottom of a clear brook, steady, waiting, shaping the flow without speaking. There is poetry in the way black holes hide their secrets yet give us so much in return. They hide their centers, but they show us time dilation. They hide their insides, but they give us waves of gravity we can listen to with careful machines. They hide their shapes, but they give us shadows we can see with telescopes the size of Earth itself. They are generous in silence, like teachers who never raise their voices, yet leave us with lessons we never forget. To learn from them is to learn humility, patience, and the soft art of listening to what cannot be said outright. If you close your eyes now and let your mind drift near a black hole, see it not as a monster but as a mirror. It shows you the edge of what you know. It shows you the line between your small clock and the deep clock of the cosmos. It shows you that the future is always one way, not only beyond horizons, but here, in your own breath. You cannot go back to yesterday, you can only go forward. And so the black hole is not alien at all. It is the purest echo of the life you already live. One-way paths are everywhere. The horizon only makes the rule more visible, more sharp, more eternal. And so we drift deeper still, knowing that the river flows, that the waterfall waits, that time bends and leans in ways both strange and familiar. The silent rivers of space-time whisper to us that everything, in the end, moves forward. And perhaps that is not a reason for fear, but a reason for peace, for wonder, and for rest. Now let us wander toward the quiet resolution of this story, where the black hole becomes not just an object of science, but also a reflection of our own place in time. Imagine the night sky above you, vast and heavy with stars. Somewhere out there, hidden in the darkness, lies a black hole. You cannot see it with your eyes, for it does not shine. Yet its presence is written in the dance of nearby stars, in the glow of spiraling gas, in the faint ripples of space-time that reach us like echoes of drums played far away, is both invisible and undeniable, and in its silence it teaches us the deepest lesson, that time itself has edges. To approach the end of this tale, let us return to the event horizon, the boundary that is not a wall but a shift in destiny. Crossing it means that all futures lead inward, that all paths narrow to one point. For those outside it is a mystery, for those inside it is simply forward. This is the essence of the one-way future. In your daily life you already walk such paths. Every sunrise is a horizon. Every choice once made is a step that cannot be undone. You're always walking toward tomorrow, and you cannot turn back to yesterday. The black hole is this truth made cosmic, magnified until it bends light itself. When we gaze at the images of black holes, those faint glowing rings with shadows at their centres, we are not only seeing matter falling in, we are seeing the shape of time's pull. The shadow is not the hole itself, but the absence of paths, the absence of return. Light that brushes too close is caught, curved inward until it can no longer escape. The ring glows because matter resists until the last moment, heating, flaring, singing its final song before silence. To look at this image is to look at the border between what can be known and what lies forever hidden. It is to look at the line where physics and poetry meet. In quiet moments, some ask, if time ends at the singularity, is there truly an end? Or does time begin again in some hidden form, a bud sprouting from a buried seed? We do not know. Our equations falter. The singularity is a page not yet written, a sentence broken mid-word. But perhaps that is fitting, for life too is full of such mysteries. We do not see beyond our own horizon, the horizon of death, the horizon of what comes after. We live with questions we cannot yet answer. The black hole becomes a mirror, reflecting our own limits, reminding us that not knowing is also part of the wonder. And yet, black holes are not only endings, they are engines of galaxies. The giant at the centre of the Milky Way, called Sagittarius a star, has guided stars for billions of years. Without it, our galaxy might not spin as it does, might not form the patterns of arms and clusters we see when we look outward. The hole's gravity binds stars, sculpts orbits, shapes the spiral. In this way, something we call empty and silent is also full of order and structure. It is not chaos, it is a centre. It is a heartbeat we cannot hear, but that holds the galaxy steady in its embrace. Think of the paradox, a whole that devours, yet also a whole that gives shape, an end that is also a beginning, a silence that orders the song. Nature is full of such paradoxes. A seed must split before it grows. A star must die before it scatters the heavy elements that become planets, oceans, and life. A person must leave childhood to enter adulthood. At every scale, endings and beginnings are braided, inseparable. The black hole is simply the grandest version, written in gravity instead of breath. Scientists continue to listen to black holes in new ways. With gravitational wave detectors, we hear their mergers, the moments when two shadows become one. The waves ripple through space-time, carrying the shape of their final embrace. We measure these waves on Earth with instruments so delicate they can feel a stretch smaller than a proton. When we hear them, we know. Two black holes danced, circled and joined, far away, long ago, and yet their whisper reaches us now in our own century, in our own ears. To listen is to know that the universe is alive with events beyond sight, with stories unfolding in silence. It is a reminder that even in darkness there is motion, there is rhythm, there is story. The thought of entering a one-way future may seem frightening, but in truth it is simply the shape of life. We are always walking through one-way doors. A child becomes an adult, never to return to the cradle. A moment passes, never to repeat in exactly the same way. A leaf falls, never to rise back into the branch that bore it. The horizon of time is always moving forward. The black hole does not invent this truth, it only sharpens it. It shows us that in some corners of the cosmos the rule is absolute, written so clearly that even light must obey. Now picture yourself standing on a quiet hillside under stars. You think of the black hole, the one-way door, the silent river. You breathe in, you breathe out, you feel the steady ticking of your own clock. Each beat is a step into the future, a step you cannot undo. Yet this is not sorrow. It is the very rhythm of life. To move forward is to live. To accept the one-way flow is to find peace. The black hole far away is a cosmic symbol of this truth. It is the universe whispering onward, onward, onward. And perhaps in the far, far future, when the stars are cold and the galaxies are faint, black holes will still linger. They will sit in the quiet dark, their horizons still marking the line between in and out, between now and never. They will fade only after ages beyond ages, glowing with hawking light until even they dissolve. The universe will be a quiet sea then, filled with faint particles and the memory of light. Yet even in that silence, the story of black holes will remain, etched into the history of everything that once was. They will be remembered as the keepers of time, the teachers of patience, the poets of gravity. So let us close this story softly. The silent rivers of space-time flow on. Black holes rest within them like deep wells, shaping paths, shaping futures. They are not monsters, not terrors, but mirrors and guides. They show us that time bends, that choices narrow, that futures can be one way. And in showing us this, they also show us ourselves. For we too live in rivers of time. We too walk one-way paths. We too are bound to horizons we cannot cross again. The black hole, silent and distant, is simply the universe holding up a lantern saying, "See, this is the nature of time. See, this is the way forward." As you drift into rest, let the image of the black hole be gentle. Let it be a circle of shadow surrounded by a ring of light. Let it remind you that even in silence there is meaning. Even in darkness there is order. Even in endings there is beauty. Time moves forward, always like a river, and you, small yet infinite, float upon it, carried gently toward the future. The black hole is only the deepest reminder of what you already know, that life is lived in one direction, that tomorrow awaits, that the journey is always onward, and that within that truth lies a strange and calming peace. Imagine a star glowing with fierce light, a fire born from the balance between gravity pulling inward and fusion pushing outward. For millions or even billions of years, this balance holds steady. The star shines, warming its planets, feeding its surroundings with radiance. But deep inside, gravity never sleeps. It waits, patient, steady, unyielding. The moment the fuel grows thin, the moment the star's inner furnace falters, gravity leans closer, pressing inward with all its hidden weight. It is in this collapse, this surrender, that gravity shows its truest appetite. The star's brilliance fades, its matter folds inward, and what remains is a core so heavy, so compact, that not even light can climb from it. This is the birth of a black hole, the gravity that eats the stars. The hunger begins quietly. A star more massive than our sun spends its life burning hotter, brighter, faster. It consumes its fuel quickly, as though it cannot resist the race. Inside, hydrogen fuses into helium into heavier elements, layer by layer, like an onion of fire. Each stage pushes against gravity, resisting the fall, But when iron is born in the heart, the chain of fusion stops. Iron does not release energy by fusing. It holds its energy tightly, refusing to yield. At that moment, the star has no way to resist gravity. The furnace cools, the outward pressure weakens, and gravity, silent all along, claims the final word. In a blink, the core collapses, the outer layers crash inward, then rebound in a supernova, an explosion so bright it can outshine entire galaxies. For weeks, months, the star's death is visible across the cosmos, scattering heavy elements into space: gold, uranium, carbon, seeding the universe with the ingredients of life. But the core itself does not scatter. It shrinks, compressing tighter and tighter until it becomes something entirely new. Sometimes it stops as a neutron star, a sphere only a few miles wide but heavier than the Sun. Other times, if the mass is too great, the collapse continues. The star's own weight crushes it past all resistance, past the point where even neutrons can stand. The result is a black hole, the gravity that devours its parent. To stand near such a grave would be to feel a force unlike any other. Not a violent tug, not a sudden pull, but an irresistible slope. It is as though the ground itself tilts forever downward. The closer you step, the steeper the tilt. Once you cross a certain line, the slope becomes infinite, and all steps, all paths, lead inward. That line is the event horizon. From outside, the black hole appears as nothing at all, only the shadow of light it has trapped, the circle where escape is impossible. The star is gone, and in its place is an absence, a mouth that never closes. Yet this is not destruction in the way we imagine it. The star's story does not end here. It transforms. Its mass remains hidden in the singularity. Its influence spreads across space. Planets, gas and light feel its presence. The black hole does not erase the star, it changes its form. It becomes not a beacon of light, but a sculptor of motion. Its gravity shapes the orbits of nearby stars, bends the paths of passing photons, and sometimes feeds on matter, glowing again as gas heats and swirls at its edge. The star's body is gone, but its spirit lingers in the quiet force that still holds sway. Around many black holes, astronomers find evidence of disks of matter, shining with furious brightness as they spiral inward. This is the black hole's table, the place where it feeds, but the feeding is slow, patient. A star that drifts too close is stretched, pulled apart in a process called spaghettification. The star's near side feels a stronger pull than its far side, and the difference stretches it until it unravels. Streams of gas fall into the disk, glowing as they spiral, releasing energy far greater than the star once did. The black hole does not chew or bite, it simply pulls silently until matter surrenders. The idea of gravity eating stars may sound harsh, but it is part of a cycle. Without this process, galaxies would lack their shapes. Black holes at their centres guide stars in sweeping orbits, keeping the spiral arms in rhythm. Without their steady weight, stars would drift, scatter, lose their pattern. The very beauty of the Milky Way, the glowing rivers of light we see in the night sky, is born in part from the gravity of black holes. What seems like destruction is also creation, order, design. The stars feed the holes, and the holes hold the stars in their grand embrace. Consider the star that once gave warmth to its planets, perhaps nurturing life. When it collapses, its death spreads elements across the cosmos. the iron in your blood, the calcium in your bones, the gold in a wedding ring, all were forged in such deaths. The black hole is the silent heir of that process. It keeps the memory of the star's weight, even as its light is gone. To say gravity eats the star is not to say the star disappears without trace. It is to say that its story changes form, written now in matter and time rather than in fire. If you were to drift near a black hole, you would not see violence. The horizon has no sign, no blaze, no warning. Crossing it would feel no different than floating in space. It is only afterward, when every future bends inward, that the difference becomes clear. And yet from a distance the feeding is bright. The glow of matter spiraling in can be among the most luminous sights in the universe. A black hole, though dark itself, can shine brighter than galaxies as it eats. This is the paradox, a mouth of silence that is surrounded by fire. In quiet truth, gravity does not hate stars, nor does it hunger in anger. It's simply the way of the cosmos. Balance holds for a while, then tips. Stars live and die, giving their gifts to the future. Black holes are one chapter in that story, a chapter where endings become new beginnings, where silence shapes motion. The gravity that eats the stars is also the gravity that guides the stars. The same force that holds Earth to the sun, the same curve that keeps the moon in its patient orbit. It is not an enemy. It is the rhythm of nature itself, written in curves and slopes, in orbits and collapses. So when you look into the night and see the glitter of stars, remember that some of them are living, burning bright, while others have already fallen, their light still travelling toward us across space. Some have left behind black holes, invisible guardians that continue to shape the galaxy. The story of each star is not finished when it fades. It continues, written in the elements it gave, in the black hole it left, in the ripples of space-time it stirred. Gravity eats the stars, but in doing so it feeds the universe with shape, with order, with the quiet poetry of endings that are never truly ends. Let us drift deeper now into the mystery of gravity's appetite, where the story of stars and black holes continues like a long, slow echo. When a star is swallowed by a black hole, it is not as if it simply vanishes. The process is rich, layered, filled with textures of light, heat, and time. Imagine a star wandering too close to the hidden giant at the heart of a galaxy. For countless millennia, it has circled safely, but now its path betrays it. It falls inward, drawn by the curve of space-time itself. At first, its fall seems gentle, but as it nears the invisible horizon, the pull grows stronger, uneven, stretching the star like dough. The side closer to the black hole feels the greater tug, and the star begins to unravel. This is called a tidal disruption event, and though the name is sharp, the process unfolds with a strange grace. The star becomes a stream, a ribbon of gas, twisting, curving, wrapping around the black hole. Some of that gas is lost forever, slipping past the horizon. Some whirls into a disk, circling, glowing, singing its brief song of fire. For us, far away, the sight is dazzling, a flare brighter than all the starlight of its host galaxy, shining for months, then fading like a breath on glass. In these disruptions, the black hole shows its hunger, but also its restraint. It does not devour all at once. The meal is slow, stretched across time. The disk heats and cools. The jets ignite and dim. The light pulses and wanes. Each step of the feast is recorded in photons that travel across the universe to our telescopes. Astronomers watch, measure and learn, piecing together the rhythm of the black hole's appetite. They see that gravity does not bite or tear. It simply leans, insists, bends the rules until the star must obey. In this way, the star's end becomes a gift to us, a window into the hidden workings of space-time. The idea of gravity-eating stars may seem like a story of loss, but in truth it is also a story of creation. The heavy elements forged in stellar cores, oxygen for our lungs, iron for our blood, carbon for the delicate lace of DNA, are scattered into space when stars die. Black holes, by pulling stars apart, help distribute these elements further. They seed the galaxy with the building blocks of life. Without the hunger of gravity, without the cycle of collapse and scattering, the universe would remain poor, filled only with hydrogen and helium. It is in the eating of stars that new worlds are prepared, new chances for life to bloom. In this sense, gravity's appetite is not cruel but generous, a cosmic gardener planting seeds through destruction. Now consider the giants, the supermassive black holes at the hearts of galaxies. They weigh millions, even billions, of times more than the Sun. Their gravity is so strong that entire clusters of stars orbit them like fireflies around a lamp. When they feed, the energy released is immense, enough to shape the galaxy itself. Jets of matter shoot outward for thousands of light years, sculpting clouds of gas, stirring star formation in some regions while quenching it in others. The black hole is not only a consumer but a regulator, a conductor guiding the symphony of galactic growth. In its hunger, it creates order. In its silence, it writes the shape of the stars that will form and the paths they will follow. To see this in your mind, picture a galaxy as a garden. These are the blossoms glowing in colours from blue to red. Nebulae are the soils, rich with gas and dust. At the garden centre lies the black hole, dark and quiet, yet its presence shapes everything. When it feeds, the garden shifts. Some blossoms are pruned, some soils stirred, some seeds carried farther than before. The hand is invisible, yet the garden grows in its rhythm. Without the central weight, the garden might sprawl without pattern, its beauty lost to chaos. But with it, the spiral arms curl, the clusters hold, the galaxy shines with order. What seems to eat is also what gives form. Scientists peer into this balance with wonder. They use radio telescopes, X-ray eyes, gravitational wave detectors, all to listen to the song of feeding black holes. They see stars stretched, disks glowing, jets flaring. They measure the orbits of stars near Sagittarius, a star, the black hole at the Milky Way's heart. These stars dance in tight loops, moving at unimaginable speeds, their motions revealing the invisible giant around which they spin. One star, called S2, completes its orbit in just 16 years, rushing so close to the hole that it proves beyond doubt that something massive and compact lies there. In this dance, we see the hunger of gravity not as destruction but as music, a rhythm that guides stars like notes in a quiet song. There is also the question of time. For matter falling into a black hole, the journey inward is quick. But to an observer far away, the fall seems to stretch forever. The star's last light lingers at the edge, frozen, fading. It is a reminder that time itself is not absolute. It bends, stretches, shifts depending on where you stand. A black hole makes this truth undeniable. It shows us that our clocks are not universal, that time is woven into the curves of gravity. When we watch a star fall, we are not only seeing an object consumed, we are seeing the very fabric of reality reshaped, the flow of seconds bent into silence. And what of the star's story once it is gone? The black hole does not let us see inside. The singularity hides all detail, but the effects remain. The black hole grows heavier. Its spin may change. Its hunger continues, waiting for the next star to wander too near. The process repeats over millions of years, shaping the galaxy's life. In this cycle, stars are born, live, and die. Some end as white dwarfs, some as neutron stars, some as black holes. Each death feeds the universe with new matter, new shapes. Gravity eats the stars, but in their ending, the cosmos finds its continuation. The mystery of the appetite extends beyond physics. It touches philosophy, even poetry. Why should the universe be built this way? Why should endings feed beginnings? Why should silence give shape to song? We do not know the ultimate answer, but we see the pattern. A forest grows from the death of old trees, their fallen trunks feeding the soil. A child grows because food is consumed, turned into energy, turned into life. The cycle is everywhere, from the smallest cell to the largest galaxy. Black holes are the grandest expression of this cycle. They remind us that loss is not emptiness, it is transformation. As you sit with this thought, let the image of gravity's hunger soften. Do not see it as a monster swallowing stars, but as a river carrying matter into new shapes. The river flows, and along its path stars are born and stars are lost. But the flow continues, steady, unbroken, and within it life emerges. Questions are asked, stories are told. The appetite of gravity is part of the song of the universe, a song that is both solemn and beautiful, both strange and familiar. It is the music of endings that create beginnings, the quiet reminder that nothing is wasted, not even the light of a star that falls into the dark. Now let us bring this story of gravity's appetite to its quiet close, where the devouring of stars becomes not only an act of physics, but a gentle meditation on the nature of time and change. Imagine again the night sky, wide and endless, each star a flame that burns for ages. You look upward and see constellations, patterns written by our ancestors. Yet hidden in that sky are stars already gone, their light still travelling toward us. And hidden deeper still are black holes, the remnants of those lost suns, silent keepers of their weight. The universe is filled with such ghosts, and in them lies a truth, that all things end, and in ending they continue. A black hole does not rage when it feeds. There is no violence in its silence. Matter simply falls inward, following the paths that space-time provides. What looks to us like destruction is, to the universe, simply motion, simply balance. The star that collapses is not gone. It is remembered in the elements it left behind, in the planets it may have seeded, in the black hole that still carries its mass. Nothing is wasted, nothing is erased. Gravity does not eat to destroy, it eats to transform, to shape, to guide. The hunger is simply the natural bending of time and space. Consider again the giants at the centres of galaxies. They are billions of times heavier than the Sun. Without them, galaxies would be loose, chaotic, drifting apart. With them, galaxies spin in spirals. arms stretched like dancers turning in slow circles. The black hole is not seen, yet its gravity organizes everything. It is a paradox, something invisible giving shape to everything visible. The stars that are eaten become part of this order. Their loss feeds the central mass, and their memory lives on in the pattern of galaxies themselves. In this way, even destruction becomes creation, even endings become structure. The feeding of black holes also gives a sight. As matter spirals in, it glows brighter than entire galaxies. Quasars, among the brightest objects in the universe, are black holes feeding at their limits, surrounded by disks that blaze across billions of light years. To see one is to see the hunger of gravity made luminous. From the edge of nothingness, light is born again, streaming outward, touching worlds that may never know the source. It is the universe's reminder that even in silence there is brilliance, and even in darkness there can be radiance. The gravity that eats the stars also gives us some of the most beautiful sights we will ever see, and yet even black holes are not eternal. Slowly, faintly, they may give back what they have taken through a process called Hawking radiation. Over times longer than the age of galaxies, longer than the lives of stars, they may glow, shrink and vanish. Even the greatest eaters of the cosmos may one day be gone. When that time comes, the matter they held will be released in the quietest of whispers, photons drifting into the cold sea of space. In this way, the hunger has an end. The one-way future bends back into the universe, completing the cycle. This thought carries a strange comfort. Nothing in the cosmos is forever. Not stars, not black holes, not even time as we know it. And yet the story continues. Each ending gives to another beginning. Each guidance is followed by a thin song. Gravity eats the stars, but in the eating, it feeds the universe with patterns, with possibilities, with life itself. Without it, the cosmos would be empty of meaning, empty of form. With it, the cosmos blooms, not in spite of endings, but because of them. Now let the image soften once more. Picture a star once proud collapsing inward. Its brilliance is gone, but its weight remains, folded into silence. Around it, other stars still burn, still shine. Planets circle their suns. Life stirs in quiet oceans. The black hole rests, not reaching outward, not chasing, simply waiting. It is not a monster, not a devourer, but a keeper of balance. In its gravity lies the memory of what was and the seed of what will be. Its appetite is simply the rhythm of the cosmos, steady as a heartbeat. When you think of your own life, the same rhythm is there. Each day passes, never to return. Each choice is made, never to be undone. Yet from each ending, something new begins. Childhood ends and adulthood begins. One chapter closes and another opens. We live within a one-way flow just as stars do. And though the flow can seem like loss, it is also creation. Every moment gone feeds the next. Every step taken leads to the next horizon. Gravity's hunger is mirrored in our own passage through time. We are not eaten by it. We are carried by it. So let us close this story in quiet reflection. The gravity that eats the stars is the same gravity that holds your feet to the earth, the same gravity that binds the moon to its orbit, the same gravity that lets planets dance around the sun. It is not a stranger. It is the very fabric of the world you know. When you look into the night, remember that the stars you see and the stars you do not see are all part of this endless cycle. They shine, they fade, they collapse. They feed the silence, and from that silence new stars are born. The universe is not cruel in this. It is simply patient, endlessly weaving endings into beginnings. And in that patience lies peace. The black hole does not hurry. The star does not resist forever. The galaxy does not lose its form. Everything flows forward, step by step, into the next part of the song. You too are part of this. Your moments are not wasted. They feed the next and the next and the next. Just as gravity eats the stars, time carries you onward. And just as the cosmos finds beauty in that flow, so too can you. For in the end, all stories of stars, of black holes, of galaxies, of lives are woven from the same thread, a thread that moves only forward, yet never truly ends. Time is a quiet companion, always moving forward, never pausing, never retracing its steps. We live inside its flow without choice, carried along as leaves are carried on a stream. Yet near the strange edges of the universe, near the silent wells we call black holes, time itself bends. There, the familiar rhythm of seconds and minutes slows, stretches and curves, until the future takes on a shape unlike anything we know on Earth. The black hole does not only swallow matter, it swallows possibilities, narrowing the paths of tomorrow until every choice becomes a single direction. To cross its horizon is to walk through time's one-way door, a passage that leads forward but never back. Imagine a clock in your hand. Its ticking feels steady, each second marking the beat of your life. Now place that clock near a black hole, hovering close but still outside the horizon. To you, standing beside it, the ticking continues as usual. But to someone watching from far away, the clock slows, its hands crawling, its rhythm drawn out until it nearly halts. This is the nature of gravity's effect on time. The stronger the gravity, the slower the clock appears to those outside. Near the edge of a black hole, time stretches so much that 1 minute for you could be years, even centuries, for the universe beyond. The black hole does not destroy time, it reshapes it, tilts it, turns it into a slope that cannot be resisted. The idea of a one-way door is not only a metaphor. Once matter crosses the event horizon, its path is locked. Every direction becomes inward, and inward is forward in time. For those inside, the fall is natural, inevitable, unstoppable. There is no wall, no sudden shock, only the quiet realization that all futures converge to one place. This is the singularity, the heart of the black hole, where our understanding fails. Our equations predict infinite density, infinite curvature, a place where time ends. But perhaps it is not an end at all. Perhaps it is simply a boundary where our current knowledge pauses, waiting for new understanding to continue the tale. To think of time's one-way door is to think of our own lives. Each moment passes and cannot return. Each day is lived only once. We too live in a one-way flow. The difference is that our river is wide, offering many choices, many branches. A black hole narrows the river into a single stream, a chute down which all paths converge. It is time made absolute, uncompromising, clear. It reminds us of something we often forget, that forward is the only direction time knows, and that this truth is both our limit and our gift. Some scientists wonder whether the inside of a black hole could be more than an end. Could it be a doorway to another place, another time, another universe? The mathematics of general relativity allows strange tunnels, bridges that might connect distant points in space-time. We call them wormholes. If they exist, perhaps black holes are the entrances, one-way doors that lead elsewhere, yet no evidence proves this, and the fragility of such tunnels may close them as soon as they open. Still, the idea lingers, like a dream that whispers of secret passages hidden in the walls of reality. The black hole remains silent on the matter, keeping its secrets beyond our reach. We know more about the doors outside than its inside. We know how light bends near the horizon, how time stretches, how matter glows as it spirals inward. We know that black holes can merge, sending ripples of gravity across the cosmos, waves that we can now listen to with delicate instruments. We know that supermassive black holes hold galaxies together, their gravity anchoring stars in graceful spirals. All of this knowledge surrounds the door, frames it, gives it shape. But what lies beyond remains hidden. The door does not let us look through, and yet the very existence of the door changes how we see the universe. It shows us that time is not absolute, that it is woven into the fabric of space-time. It shows us that endings can be real, that some horizons are final. It shows us that the universe is not only wide and open, but also deep and closed in places, containing mysteries that no light can escape. In this way, black holes do not only consume, they also give. They give us a new vision of time, a new respect for its flow, a new awareness of our own passage through its one-way path. Picture yourself standing far from a black hole, looking at it through a telescope. You see the glow of matter swirling around it, the ring of fire that outlines its shadow. You know that within that shadow lies the one-way door. You cannot see it, but you know it is there, waiting. The thought is not frightening but humbling. The cosmos contains places where time itself has edges. The universe, vast as it is, has boundaries written not in walls, but in rules. To learn this is to step closer to understanding our place in the whole. And so, as we begin this story of time's one-way door, let us carry the thought gently that we too are travellers in a universe of horizons. We cannot step backward. We cannot hold yesterday. We can only move forward, one heartbeat, one breath, one thought at a time. The black hole makes this truth cosmic, grand, undeniable. It is not only the eater of stars, it is the keeper of time's deepest secret, that the future is the only road, and that the door ahead always opens, but never closes behind us. Let us step further into the gentle mystery of time's one-way door, where the story deepens and the imagination flows alongside science. When we speak of black holes, we often picture only darkness, only absence. Yet what they reveal most clearly is time itself, stretched and tilted in ways that change how we understand reality. Near the horizon, time is not the steady stream you know in your days and nights. It becomes a river flowing at many speeds different for each observer. For someone falling toward the hole, time feels ordinary, their heartbeat and breath continuing as always. But to someone watching from afar, that same fall appears to slow, to linger, to freeze at the edge. Two truths exist at once. The traveller feels no pause. The watcher sees no arrival. Both are correct, and in this delicate contradiction lies the beauty of relativity. To imagine this more fully, let us create a picture in the mind. Suppose you and a friend stand near a black hole. You remain at a safe distance while your friend drifts closer and closer to the horizon. To you, their movements slow, their voice stretches, deepens, fades. Their image grows redder as the light from their body is shifted by the gravity. You wait and watch, but you never see them cross the edge. They fade away, becoming dimmer, thinner, until they vanish from sight. Not because they entered, but because time itself has stretched their story into silence. Yet for them, the experience is different. They drift across the horizon without noticing a special moment, carried inward on time's one-way slope. For them, minutes pass. For you, eternity does. Both stories are true, held together by the fabric of space-time. This duality shows us something profound, that time is not absolute. There is no universal ticking clock that beats for all observers the same way. Instead, each path through the universe carries its own rhythm, its own flow, its own proper time. The black hole is not unique in this. Even satellites in orbit around Earth feel a different rhythm than clocks on the ground. But near the horizon, the difference becomes so great that it feels like a new reality. And perhaps, in a way, it is. For time is not a backdrop. It is woven into the stage itself, bending when gravity bends, slowing when space-time curves. Now let us drift into the heart of the mystery. What happens once the horizon is crossed? According to general relativity, all futures lead to the singularity, a place where density becomes infinite, and our mathematics collapse. The door opens inward, but once inside, the hall has only one direction. You cannot turn, you cannot pause, you cannot circle back. You're carried toward a point where time itself ends. But some scientists whisper of other possibilities. Perhaps quantum physics, with its strange rules and shimmering uncertainty, softens the singularity. Perhaps the heart of the black hole is not a point of nothingness but a gateway, a passage to something else. The equations of relativity allow for wormholes, tunnels that could connect distant parts of the cosmos or even different universes. Whether they exist in reality, we do not yet know, but the possibility remains, a dream folded into the math, a reminder that the one-way door may not be a final end, but a passage to unknown landscapes. Even without wormholes, the stretching of time near the horizon creates a natural kind of time travel. Imagine orbiting near the edge for what feels like hours. When you leave, you may discover that centuries have passed in the wider universe. You would have walked through time's one-way door, arriving in a future far beyond your own starting point. This is not fiction. It is a direct consequence of relativity, one that we measure on smaller scales with satellites and clocks. The black hole magnifies it, turning small differences into great leaps. To hover near the edge is to peer into tomorrow, to step into the far future, while your own clock ticks gently forward. But even as we speak of travel and horizons, the truth remains steady. The black hole is not a doorway of our choosing. It is not a gate we can use at will. It is a natural feature of space-time, a slope so steep that all roads inside point to the same end. To cross it is to surrender choice, to walk into a future already written. And yet, in thinking about it, we see our own lives more clearly. We too walk through one-way doors each day. Childhood leads to adulthood, never back, moments pass, never to return. The black hole only makes this rule visible in sharper lines, showing us the truth of time we already live. Consider the galaxy as a whole. At its centre lies a supermassive black hole, a vast one-way door that holds the stars in orbit. Around it, clusters spin, gas clouds drift, stars are born and die. Without the central mass, the galaxy would lose its form. The door, though invisible, shapes the dance of billions. And just as the galaxy holds its stars with a hidden heart, so too does your life have a center. It may be memory, it may be love, it may be hope. Around it the moments spin, each moving forward, each carried along by time's current. The black hole at the galaxy's heart and the center of your own story are not so different. Both remind you that the future is the path ahead, and that the past, though gone, still shapes the orbit of today. Some thinkers ask, if time is a one-way door, is there any freedom? Are we only passengers carried along without choice? The answer lies in the space between seconds. While you cannot move backward, you can choose how you move forward. You can choose your path across the river, even if the current always flows downstream. The black hole narrows those choices until only one remains. But outside in the wider universe, the river is broad, full of bends and branches. You live in that space of choice where time's one-way flow is balanced by freedom's many directions. The horizon shows us the limit, but it also shows us the value of every step before it. So let us linger here, at the thought of time's door, not in fear but in wonder. The universe contains edges where our knowledge fades, where rules become mysteries, where light itself cannot return. And yet, these edges are not only about loss, they are about perspective, about learning what time truly is. For in knowing that there are places where all futures converge, we better understand the richness of the present, the gift of the moments we still hold. Time flows one way, yes, but within its flow are infinite possibilities, infinite songs, infinite breaths. The black hole, silent and unseen, is a reminder to cherish the openness we still possess. And as you think of this, let the image soften. A ring of light around a circle of darkness, the shadow of time's one-way door. It is far away, yet it speaks to you here. It whispers that life is lived in forward steps, that each choice matters, that the future is not to be feared but to be embraced. For even in the darkest corners of the cosmos, the truth of time remains steady. Onward, onward, always onward. Let us bring the story of time's one-way door toward its gentle closing, where reflections soften into meaning. When we think of black holes, we imagine silence and darkness, but the deepest lesson is about time itself. They remind us that all journeys move forward, that no moment can be repeated, and that every horizon is crossed only once. The event horizon is not a wall, but a truth. Once you pass through, all paths lead inward. The singularity waits, not as a monster, but as the natural end of a story. And though we cannot see beyond, we can feel the poetry of what it means to live within time's one-way flow. Imagine walking down a long hallway. Behind you, doors close gently one after the other, never to be opened again. Ahead, more doors wait, glowing faintly with light. You cannot turn back. You cannot pause the walk. Each step forward closes the past and opens the future. This is the hallway we all live in. The black hole makes this hallway visible, stark, absolute. Inside its horizon, the hallway narrows to a single path, a corridor where every door leads to the same room. Outside in our wider lives, the hallway branches and bends, offering choices, but still, the walk is one way. The universe, like the black hole, guides us forward. Consider again the twin who lingers near a black hole while the other remains far away. One returns younger, the other older, though both lived their days fully. This is not only a trick of clocks, it is the way the universe bends time, offering glimpses of futures we cannot reach otherwise. In the gravity of the black hole, the one-way door becomes not only a boundary but a bridge. It shows that the future can unfold differently for each traveller, that time is not the same for all, that even within the one-way flow, the experience of its passing can change. This truth, discovered by Einstein and proven by countless experiments, is part of the black hole's gift to us, the knowledge that time is not fixed, but elastic, alive, and yet we cannot ignore the mystery of the singularity. Our equations tell us that space and time end there, folded into infinite density. But perhaps our understanding is incomplete. Perhaps the singularity is not the end but the beginning of something else, a seed for another universe, a bud that blooms beyond our sight. Some scientists dream that every black hole births a new cosmos, hidden inside, unreachable from outside. If true, then every star that falls, every horizon crossed, is not an ending but a creation. Time's one-way door would then be a doorway into another story, one we cannot yet read. Whether this is truth or only dream, we cannot yet say. But the thought itself adds tenderness to the mystery, reminding us that endings often carry beginnings within them. In the wider universe, time's one-way door shapes galaxies, stars, and lives. Black holes at galactic centers act as anchors, guiding billions of stars in their orbits. Without them, the great spirals we see in the night sky might dissolve. Their one-way nature does not only consume, it also gives stability, order, balance. They are guardians as much as they are graves. The stars that fall into them are not lost entirely. Their light is seen in flares and jets. Their matter contributes to the growing weight. Their stories ripple outward in gravitational waves. Even in silence, the black hole leaves echoes, just as we leave echoes in the lives we touch. The one-way door closes behind us, but its closing shapes those who remain. For us, the black hole is a mirror of our own passage. We too cross horizons each day, moments we cannot return to, choices we cannot undo. Childhood, once past, cannot be revisited. A conversation once spoken cannot be unsaid. A day, once lived, cannot be relived. This may seem sorrowful, but it is also what gives life meaning. If time looped backward, if doors could be reopened, the value of each step would fade. It is the one-way flow that makes each moment precious. The black hole in its silence reflects this truth. It shows us that moving forward is not loss, but life itself. Think now of the image of the black hole captured by telescopes, its ring of light, its dark centre. That image is not only an achievement of science, but also a symbol. It is the picture of a one-way door. Around it, matter burns, light bends, time stretches. At its heart lies the unseeable, the unreachable, the place where all paths converge. We look at it from afar, and though it is alien, it feels familiar. For we too live in the shadow of one-way doors. We too shine for a time, then fade, leaving our traces behind. We too are part of the same fabric, moving forward in silence. And so, as this story closes, let the thought of time's one-way door bring calm rather than fear. The black hole is not a terror waiting to devour, but a teacher reminding us of truths we already live. That time flows forward, that choices matter, that endings are also beginnings. To walk through time's one-way door is to live. To accept its flow is to find peace. To know its presence is to cherish the moment still open, still glowing, still within reach. Picture yourself now beneath the stars. Above, galaxies turn, their centres anchored by silent doors. Around you the night air is still, your breath steady, your heart beating in rhythm with the flow of time. You cannot step back, you cannot pause the river, but you can feel its current carrying you gently onward. The black hole, distant and quiet, is simply the universe's way of saying, yes, this is the nature of all things. Forward, forward, always forward. The one-way door is not a threat but a promise that tomorrow will come, that new horizons will open, that the journey continues, endlessly unfolding in the calm embrace of time. A star is born in silence, from clouds of gas that gather, drift and fold under their own weight. For millions of years, the star burns steady and bright, its light a gift to the worlds around it. But every star, no matter how grand, carries within it a limit. Its fuel will run low, its balance will break, and when the time comes, it will collapse. The dreams of collapsing suns are written in these endings, in the quiet surrender of fire to gravity, in the transformation of brilliance into silence. To understand black holes is to walk into the last dreams of stars, to listen to what they whisper as they fold themselves into the dark. Picture a star like our sun, golden and calm. It will live for billions of years, fusing hydrogen into helium, pouring warmth into the void. When its fuel begins to fade, it will swell into a red giant, its outer layers spreading wide. Then softly, it will shed those layers into space, leaving behind a white dwarf, a small glowing ember that cools for eternity. But if the star is heavier, many times the mass of our sun, its fate will be more dramatic. It will burn hotter, faster, eating through its fuel in a few million years. Its life will end, not in a gentle sigh, but in a collapse so fierce that the star's very heart is crushed. These are the collapsing suns whose dreams we now follow. When such a massive star dies, its end begins in silence. The core fuses heavier and heavier elements until it reaches iron. Iron cannot yield energy by fusion. At that moment, the furnace stops. Outward pressure weakens. Gravity, which has been waiting all along, takes command. The core implodes, falling inward in less than a second. The outer layers crash down, rebound, and explode outward in a supernova. For weeks, the light of this death can outshine a galaxy. The blast scatters carbon, oxygen, gold, and uranium into space. It is violent, yet it is also creation. For without these explosions, the universe would lack the ingredients of planets and life. But while the outer layers are cast into the cosmos, the core remains behind. If it is heavy enough, it collapses past every barrier, shrinking until nothing can escape. The black hole is born. The dreams of collapsing suns are not only of death but of legacy. The elements we carry in our bodies were once deep inside the cores of ancient stars. The calcium in your bones, the oxygen in your lungs, the iron in your blood, all were forged in stellar furnaces, released in explosions, scattered across space. When you breathe, when you walk, when you think, you are carrying the memory of suns that collapsed long before Earth was born. Their dreams live on in you, in every heartbeat, in every thought. To speak of black holes is to speak not only of destruction but of inheritance, of the long chain of giving that stars create. Imagine standing on a world orbiting such a massive star near the end of its life. The sky would glow strangely as the star swelled into a giant. Its light would redden, its heat would shift, and its winds would grow strong. Then, in a single night, the sky would blaze with the light of a supernova. The star would tear itself apart, flooding the heavens with colours and energies beyond imagination. And in the silence that followed, the black hole would remain, invisible but heavy, a dark dream at the heart of the system. The planets, if they survived, would circle a ghost, warmed no longer by light but bound still by gravity. This is the inheritance of collapsing suns. Light, then silence, fire, then shadow, dreams, then memory. Some black holes formed from collapsing stars are only a few times heavier than the sun. Others are far greater, formed from chains of collapses and mergers. They drift through galaxies, unseen except when they feed. Yet all carry the same story. Once they were stars. Once they shone. Once they gave. Their collapse is not an erasure but a continuation. The black hole is the star's final act, its last dream, the place where its story narrows into silence. And yet the silence is not empty. It holds weight. It shapes orbits. It bends light. It teaches us about time and gravity. The collapsed sun, though gone as light, remains as influence. To understand this is to see the cycle of the cosmos more clearly. Birth, growth, death, transformation. These are the stages of stars, just as they are of all things. A collapsing sun is not a tragedy but a part of this cycle. Its dream is not of failure but of change. It gives light while it can. It gives elements when it dies. It gives gravity when it collapses. At every stage it offers something to the universe. The black hole is only the final gift, the weight that remains, the silent teacher of time's one-way path. When you look into the night sky, you see not only stars that are alive, but also the memories of stars that have already collapsed. Their dreams are shining still, carried in the light that travels to you across the ages. So let us begin this story of collapsing suns with quiet reverence. The black hole is not separate from the star. It is the star's last chapter, the place where its fire is gathered into silence, and in that silence there is wisdom. For we too live lives of stages, birth, growth, change, and finally an ending. To see the dreams of collapsing suns is to see our own reflection, written in the vast language of the cosmos. The stars in their saints whisper, "Nothing is wasted, all things change. Every ending is also a continuation. Their dreams flow into us, and in us they live again." The dreams of collapsing suns deepen when we follow the paths their endings carve into the universe. Imagine the sky filled not with silence but with echoes of supernovae, each one a star's final flare, each one scattering seeds into the dark. These explosions do not only mark death, they mark the beginning of new worlds. From the ashes of collapsing suns, planets are formed. From their scattered elements, oceans fill, mountains rise, and creatures breathe. To think of a black hole only as an ending is to miss the larger truth. Every collapse is also a gift, every silence a preparation for what comes after. When the core of a massive star collapses, the journey does not always end the same way. If the star is heavy but not too heavy, the collapse halts as neutrons press tightly together, forming a neutron star. This is a body so dense that a teaspoon of its matter would outweigh mountains. It spins, it pulses, it shines in radio waves. But if the mass is greater still, gravity allows no resistance. The neutrons fold, the core sinks, and the star becomes a black hole. This variety of endings is part of the dream. Suns collapse, but they do not collapse alike. Each one leaves behind a different story, a different mark on the fabric of the cosmos. Think of a black hole born from such a collapse drifting through a galaxy. Around it may orbit fragments of its former system, planets left in darkness, asteroids drawn into new paths, gas clouds pulled into slow spirals. From afar, nothing may reveal its presence. It is invisible, a shadow in space. Yet when matter drifts close, the silence is broken. Gas heats as it falls, glowing brightly. Flares appear, then vanish. Jets stream outward, thin and sharp, crossing light years in their reach. The black hole does not shout often, but when it does, the signal travels across the cosmos, reminding us that a collapsed sun still has a voice, even in silence. The energy released by such feeding is immense. As matter falls inward, it can glow more brightly than millions of suns. This light, born from death, becomes a beacon. It illuminates the regions around the black hole, shaping the birth of new stars in surrounding clouds. The collapse of one star thus helps guide the creation of others. In this way, the dreams of collapsing suns are never selfish. They give back to the universe, even in their silence. The black hole is not only a grave, it is a gardener, a hidden hand that stirs galaxies, shaping the cycle of birth and death. Some of the most powerful signals we detect in the cosmos come from the merging of black holes, each one the remnant of a collapsed star. When they spiral together, they create ripples in space-time itself, gravitational waves. These waves travel outward, stretching and compressing the very fabric of reality. On Earth, we have learned to listen to them with delicate instruments. We hear the final seconds of two black holes dancing, colliding, and becoming one. These sounds are the dreams of collapsing suns carried across billions of years, reaching us like whispers through the cosmic sea. In each wave is the memory of stars that once shone, collapsed, and left behind silence that still speaks. The legacy of collapsing suns also rests in the elements they scatter. Without supernovae, there would be no iron in the core of Earth, no oxygen in the air, no calcium in bones. Collapsing suns are alchemists, turning simple hydrogen into the rich palette of matter. Their deaths are not empty. They are full of gifts. Even black holes, though they seem only to swallow, are part of this giving. By guiding the flow of matter in galaxies, they ensure that the scattered elements are mixed, stirred, and shared. Without them, the galaxy's gas might remain still, unused, unshaped. With them, it becomes restless, creative, alive with the birth of new stars. Consider the centre of our own galaxy. There, a black hole 4 million times the mass of the Sun rests. It was born not from one star but from many, its growth fed by countless collapses over billions of years. Around it, stars orbit in tight loops, their paths proving the hidden weight. Each of those stars carries within it the elements of ancient supernovae, the memories of collapses that came before. In this way, the center of the Milky Way is not only a place of gravity, but a library of history. Each orbiting star is a page, each black hole a chapter, each collapse a verse in the long poem of the cosmos. And yet, as immense as these processes are, they mirror what we know in smaller scales. In nature on Earth, decay feeds life. A fallen tree nourishes the soil, giving birth to seedlings. A dying creature becomes part of the earth, feeding the cycle of growth. The dreams of collapsing suns are no different. Their endings nourish the galaxy. Their silence stirs creation. Their collapse gives shape to the future. This is not tragedy, but continuity. Not loss, but transformation. The black hole is simply the deepest expression of this cycle, a reminder that endings are not empty, that silence is still song. Some scientists imagine that deep inside black holes, where our equations fail, there may be a new beginning. Perhaps the singularity is not the end of the story, but the start of another, a spark that creates a new universe. If so, then every collapsed star carries within it the seed of creation itself. Every black hole would be a doorway, every horizon a threshold. Whether this is true or not, the idea reflects the essence of the cycle, that collapse and birth are never far apart, that silence may hide a hidden song. As we follow the dreams of collapsing suns, we begin to see the universe itself as a vast organism, living through cycles of light and dark, fire and shadow. Stars are born, shine, collapse and give back. Black holes wait, guide, shape and teach. The universe breathes through these processes, expanding, cooling, forming, transforming. And within that breath, we exist, carrying the atoms of collapsed suns in our very bodies, living proof that the dreams of stars continue long after their light fades. So let us drift deeper into this thought, that we are part of the dreams of collapsing suns. Their light formed our world, their elements formed our bodies, their collapses shaped our galaxy. Even their black holes, silent and unseen, hold the order that allows life to exist. We are not separate from their story, we are the continuation of it. When we look at the night sky, we are looking into our own memory, our own inheritance, our own beginnings written in fire and silence alike. Now let us bring the dreams of collapsing suns to their quiet conclusion, where silence turns into reflection and endings become peace. A star spends its life giving, its light warms distant planets, its winds stir the skies of its worlds, its energy travels for light years into space. Yet no star can shine forever. When its time ends, it folds inward, releasing its last gifts in fire or in silence. The black hole that follows is not a betrayal of its brightness, but a final form of its giving. To see a black hole is to see the last dream of a star, a dream where matter, light, and time themselves are reshaped into a new language. Imagine again the moment of collapse. The star burns through its fuel layer by layer until the furnace ceases. Gravity, patient and silent, claims the stage. The collapse is sudden, fierce, unstoppable. Outer layers crash inward, then rebound, exploding outward in a supernova. The debris flies into space, carrying the star's story into the cosmos. But the core remains. It shrinks, denser and denser, until it becomes a black hole. The star's light is gone, but its presence deepens. The star has not ended. It has changed form. It is now silence, gravity, memory. It is the dream that continues even when the fire is out. This transformation carries meaning for us. Just as stars collapse and leave behind gifts, so too do our own lives leave traces. Every word spoken, every kindness shared, every step taken becomes part of the fabric around us. We may fade, but our influence remains, woven into the lives of others, into the patterns of the world. The collapsing sun teaches us that endings are never truly endings. They are transformations, continuations in another form. The star's silence becomes a black hole. Our own silence becomes memory, legacy, story. Nothing vanishes without leaving behind its weight. The black hole left by a collapsing sun is quiet, yet it is never idle. Its gravity holds sway, shaping orbits, guiding motion, sculpting galaxies. Even when invisible, it is present. In the same way, the influence of lives once lived remains, guiding those who follow, shaping the paths of generations. The dreams of collapsing suns are not only about matter and energy, they are about continuity, about how the universe remembers through patterns, gravity, and time. To look at the night sky is to see not only light but also remembrance, each star a reminder of countless suns that have already collapsed, whose gifts still linger. Think of the atoms within you. The iron in your blood once shone in the core of a massive star. The oxygen in your lungs once drifted in the winds of a supernova. The calcium in your bones once burned in the fire of a collapsing sun. You are not separate from these stories. You are their continuation. Every breath you take is part of the dream of a star that collapsed long ago. When you look into the darkness of space, when you imagine the silent weight of black holes, remember, you are already part of their story. The universe is not distant. It is within you, written in your very being. Now let us soften our thoughts further. Picture a black hole, born from a collapsed sun resting quietly in a distant galaxy. Around it, stars orbit in slow loops. Clouds drift, glowing faintly. Light bends near its edge, curving, swirling, dancing before slipping into silence. The black hole does not move quickly. It waits, patient, timeless, holding the memory of its star within its gravity. To you, from across the cosmos, it seems a shadow, a nothing. But to the galaxy, it is a heart, a center, a weight that keeps the dance in balance. The star dreamed of light, and its black hole dreams of gravity. Both dreams are necessary. Both are beautiful. Somewhere else, two black holes spiral together, each the dream of a collapsed sun. As they join, they send ripples of space-time outward. Those ripples travel for billions of years, reaching Earth as faint vibrations we can now hear. When we listen to them, we are hearing the final song of stars that collapsed ages ago. Their voices echo still long after their light has faded. This is the nature of the universe. Even silence can sing. Even absence can leave behind presence. The dreams of collapsing suns are not forgotten. They travel, they whisper, they shape the cosmos in ways we are only beginning to understand. And in the far future, when the last stars fade and the universe grows cold, black holes will remain. They will linger longer than galaxies, longer than light, longer than memory itself. For eons upon eons they will wait, glowing faintly with hawking radiation, shrinking slowly until they too are gone. Even then their story will not be wasted. Their energy will return to the cosmos. Their silence will dissolve into the quiet sea of space. The dreams of collapsing suns will end. but their echoes will remain in the shape of everything that once was. The universe itself will be their monument. So let us close this story gently with the thought that the stars we see, the stars we cannot see, and the black holes that remain are all part of one great cycle. Birth, light, collapse, silence, continuation. This is the rhythm of the cosmos. Collapsing suns do not die in despair. They give, they transform, they endure. Their dreams live on in us, in galaxies, in the very fabric of space-time. When you feel small beneath the stars, remember, you are not separate from them. You are their child, their continuation, their dream. The black hole is not the end of the star's story, it is the beginning of yours. And so, as you drift into rest, let the dreams of collapsing suns be a comfort. Let them remind you that nothing is wasted, that every ending is also a transformation, that silence is still full of meaning. The stars collapse, the black holes wait, and life continues shaped by their gifts. In this truth there is calm. In this truth there is beauty. The universe dreams in stars, and you are part of its dream. Shadows are gentle things born when light is bent or blocked, stretching across the ground like soft echoes of the objects that cast them. But in the universe, there are shadows unlike any we know, shadows that unbend forever, shadows that belong to black holes. These are not simple dark patches made by sunlight on a wall. They are the deepest silhouettes in existence, the outlines of places where even light cannot escape. To look at a black hole is to see a shadow cast not by matter, but by space-time itself, curved and folded into a form that holds light captive. These shadows, once imagined, now photographed, are proof that gravity is not only weight, but also shape. Not only force, but also artistry. Imagine the path of a photon, a particle of light racing through space. In the emptiness, its path is straight, swift, without curve. But near a black hole, the path bends. Gravity does not only pull on matter, it pulls on light, on time, on the very geometry of space. Photons that come close to the hole are curved into orbits, circling like moths around a lantern. Some escape, flying outward, telling us of the gravity they felt. Others spiral inward, crossing the horizon, lost forever. The line between those that escape and those that vanish is sharp, a boundary in the flow of light. To distant observers, this boundary appears as a dark circle surrounded by a ring of fire. This is the shadow of the black hole, a shape carved by light surrender. For decades, scientists imagined these shadows, sketching them in equations, predicting their form. They knew that no telescope could see the black hole itself, but perhaps its shadow could be captured. In 2019, the dream became reality. The Event Horizon Telescope, a network of observatories across the Earth, acted together as one vast eye. It looked at the black hole at the heart of the galaxy M87, a monster 6 billion times the mass of the Sun, and it saw what had been imagined: a glowing ring, uneven, golden, surrounding a dark centre. It was the first portrait of a shadow that bends forever, the first image of gravity's deepest well. Humanity for the first time saw the outline of space-time folding inward. This image was not only science, but poetry. It showed that the universe can be seen in ways we once thought impossible. The ring of light is made of photons circling the hole, delayed, twisted, bent before escaping. The shadow is larger than the horizon itself, expanded by the bending of light. What we see is not the whole but its absence, not the object but its influence. The black hole hides, but the shadow speaks. It tells us that gravity is real, that Einstein's predictions hold, that space-time curves in the ways we dreamed. It tells us that even in silence, the cosmos leaves signs for us to follow. The shadow is more than an image. It is a lesson about perspective. From far away, the black hole seems to be a circle of darkness, precise and still. But closer, the light dances, bending in arcs, tracing spirals before vanishing. If you could hover near the edge, the sky itself would warp. Stars behind the black hole would appear stretched, duplicated, encircling it in strange rings. The hole would act as a lens, magnifying and distorting, bending not only shadows but the very fabric of sight. To imagine this is to imagine a world where up and down, near and far no longer mean what we think. The black hole turns vision into dream, clarity into mystery. Some call the shadow the most beautiful image in astronomy, not because it is bright, but because it reveals the invisible. For centuries, black holes were ideas, hidden in equations, doubted even by those who described them. To see their shadow is to know they are real, to touch the edge of something that was once only thought. It is to confirm that the universe is stranger and more wonderful than we imagined. The shadow bends forever, reminding us that light, though swift, cannot always escape, that even the fastest thing we know can be held by gravity's embrace. And yet the shadow is not still. Black holes spin, and their rotation drags space-time around with them. This twisting causes the shadow to shift, to tilt, to glow unevenly. One side of the ring appears brighter, where light is boosted by motion. The other side dims, where motion pulls it away. The black hole is not passive, it is active, dynamic, alive with motion even in silence. The shadow reveals this, its shape a map of the spin, its glow a story of the matter circling the horizon. Each detail of the shadow carries knowledge, each curve a clue to the hidden heart. So when you think of shadows that bend forever, think not of emptiness but of revelation. The black hole hides its core, but it cannot hide its outline. The shadow is its signature, its silent portrait, its gift to us. It is proof that even the darkest places leave light behind, that even in distance there is form, that even in mystery there is meaning. The shadow is the star's final dream made visible, the sun's last gift drawn in light. And for us, it is a reminder that the universe still has secrets worth seeking, horizons worth chasing, mysteries worth embracing. In the shadows of black holes, we see the beauty of limits, the poetry of silence, the art of gravity itself. Let us drift deeper into the mystery of these bending shadows, where the silence of black holes becomes a stage for the slow dance of light. When we look at a black hole's shadow, we are not only seeing absence, we are seeing the struggle of photons at the very edge of eternity. Some escape, curving wildly before reaching our eyes. Others circle the hole again and again, caught in endless loops, before slipping inward. The ring of fire that surrounds the shadow is made of these survivors, light that has danced at the brink of silence. The dark circle at the centre is where light has given in, where no escape is possible. To gaze at this image is to gaze at the deepest interplay between light and gravity, between freedom and capture, between motion and stillness. Consider how delicate this balance is. A photon travelling just slightly farther out will escape, spiralling past the black hole to continue its journey. Another, starting only a little closer, will fall inward, never to be seen again. Between them lies the photon sphere, a fragile boundary where light can orbit in circles, trapped in loops that last only moments before decay. In this fragile place, the universe reveals its precision, its balance between chaos and order. The shadow is not random, it is exact, sculpted by the equations of general relativity. To see it is to see mathematics painted in light, the cosmos drawing its truths not in ink, but in photons. When the Event Horizon telescope captured the shadow of M87's black hole, it was not a simple photograph. It was a collaboration of instruments spread across the Earth, each one listening to faint signals from billions of light years away. The data was pieced together like threads woven into a tapestry. The result was not only an image, but a proof. Black holes are real, their shadows measurable, their influence undeniable. This was not just a victory of science, but of patience, of human curiosity stretched across continents, waiting years to assemble the picture. The shadow became not only the mark of a black hole, but also the mark of our own search for knowledge, our persistence in chasing mysteries that bend forever. Shadows of black holes are not all the same. A quiet, non-spinning black hole casts a circle of near-perfect symmetry. A spinning one drags space-time around, its shadow stretched, tilted, glowing more on one side than the other. From this asymmetry we can measure spin, rotation and orientation. The black hole, though silent, speaks in its shape. Each detail tells us something. How fast it turns, how massive it is, how matter behaves near its edge. The shadow is not only an outline, it is a language, one we are still learning to read. And as we learn, the shadows teach us not only about the cosmos, but also about our place within it as listeners, interpreters, and dreamers of light. Now imagine standing on a world orbiting close to a black hole. The sky would not look like our sky. Behind you, stars would stretch and smear, distorted into arcs and rings. The black hole would loom, not as a void, but as a lens, magnifying and bending the heavens. The shadow at its center would remain still, but around it, light would whirl in shimmering patterns. You would see the galaxy folded and twisted, stars mirrored into rings, the horizon glowing with trapped photons. The beauty would be eerie, dreamlike, unsettling yet calming. In that view, you would understand that shadows can be more than absence. They can be art, sculpted by gravity itself. And yet, the black hole's shadow is not eternal. Matter that falls inward glows as it spirals down, shaping the brightness of the ring. As matter changes, so does the shadow's glow. If we could watch long enough, over years and decades, we would see the ring shift, flicker, pulse. The black hole's silence would reveal itself not as stillness but as rhythm. Its shadow would breathe, expanding and contracting as matter fed its hunger. What looks like permanence is, in truth, motion stretched across vast scales. Even shadows bend not only light but time, teaching us patience, teaching us that beauty can unfold slowly, beyond the span of human lives. The concept of a bending shadow reaches beyond astronomy into philosophy. A shadow is always a reminder of something hidden. The black hole's shadow reminds us of limits, of places we cannot see, of truths we cannot yet know. It humbles us, reminding us that no matter how far our science reaches, there will always be mysteries beyond the horizon. And yet, it also comforts us, for even if the core is hidden, its outline is visible. Even if we cannot step inside, we can learn from the edges. The shadow teaches us that we do not need to know everything to feel wonder, that glimpses and outlines are enough to stir awe. Consider also the way these shadows influence galaxies. When black holes feed, their disks shine, their jets erupt, their shadows glow brighter against the fire. These eruptions send energy across light years, stirring gas, shaping star formation. In this way, the shadow becomes part of a larger story, the growth of galaxies, the birth of stars, the cycle of matter. The shadow is not separate from creation, it is part of it, the dark heart around which a light gathers and disperses. To see it is to understand that even absence plays a role in the universe's grand design. And finally, let us return to the thought of forever. The shadow bends endlessly, marking the horizon where light itself is trapped. But forever does not mean unchanging. It means enduring, persisting as long as the black hole itself persists. And black holes live longer than stars, longer than galaxies, longer than most of what we know. To gaze at their shadows is to gaze into deep time, into an age that stretches beyond imagination. These shadows will outlast us, outlast Earth, outlast the sun. They are the universe's way of painting permanence onto a canvas of change. They bend not only light but also thought, curving our minds toward humility and wonder. So when we think of shadows that bend forever, let us think not of darkness but of meaning. These shadows are signs, signatures, lessons. They are the places where light reveals gravity's deepest secrets, where time itself leans, where the universe whispers, "Here is the limit, here is the horizon, here is the beauty of what cannot be crossed." The shadow is a reminder that even in absence there is presence, even in silence there is story, even in the bending of light there is poetry. Now let us bring the tale of shadows that bend forever to its gentle close, where reflection softens into calm. The black hole's shadow at first glance seems to be nothing more than darkness, yet in truth, it is a presence, an outline, a portrait of gravity at its most profound. To look at it is to see the edges of the unseeable, the mark of space-time folded inward. It is not emptiness but a sign, a reminder that the universe holds places where light surrenders, where time itself narrows to a single direction. And in this surrender, there is beauty, an austere, silent beauty that speaks in the language of curves and circles. Imagine standing far from such a shadow, gazing with instruments fine enough to trace its glow. You would see the ring of fire, uneven, shifting, alive with matter, spiraling inward.
Around it, the galaxy would continue its dance. Stars drifting in orbits, nebulae glowing in distant clouds. The shadow does not disrupt this dance. It anchors it, holding stars in place with its gravity, shaping the rhythm of the galaxy's spiral arms. The shadow, though dark, is a guide. It marks the heart of the system, the silent center that gives shape to all around it. To realize this is to understand that darkness too can be creative, that absence can hold meaning, that silence can hold structure.
Over time, as black holes grow by feeding, their shadows change. The event horizon expands, the circle deepens, the weight increases. Each collapse of a star, each stream of gas, each merging of two holes adds to the shadow's breadth. It is as though the universe itself is painting slowly, stroke by stroke, across ages far longer than ours. And though the core remains hidden, the shadow tells the story. It is a book without words, a script written in photons bent and swallowed. Every observation adds a page, every glimpse a paragraph, every new image a verse in the quiet poem of gravity. Think of the shadows we see on Earth, the way they stretch in evening light, the way they shift with the turning of the day. A tree's shadow lengthens across the ground, not to erase the tree but to remind us of its presence. In the same way, the black hole's shadow is not the hole itself but a reminder of what lies within. It is the trace, the echo, the signature. It says, here is a place where time is different, where space is curved, where light cannot return. The shadow is the visible shape of the invisible truth, and in this truth we find wonder, not fear. Somewhere two black holes merge, their shadows combining, their rings of light bending together before settling into one. The ripples they send through space-time reach us as whispers, as delicate vibrations we can measure. To hear them is to hear the joining of shadows, the blending of dreams, the uniting of two silent centers into one. These are not destructive events but creative ones, shaping the cosmos in new ways. The shadows that bend forever are not only solitary, they are communal, merging, growing, evolving. They are part of the ongoing story of the universe, a story that continues even in silence. The future of these shadows is long. Black holes outlive stars, outlive galaxies. They endure for trillions of years, shrinking only through faint radiation, glowing softly until they fade. Even then, their story is not wasted. The energy they release returns to the cosmos, adding to the quiet sea that will remain when the universe is old. Their shadows, though gone, will have shaped everything, stars, planets, life itself. They will be remembered not as monsters but as teachers, showing us the nature of time, of light, of gravity, of limits. Their bending is forever not because they remain eternal, but because their influence endures in all that follows. And so, as this story ends, let us rest in the thought that shadows need not be feared. They are reminders of presence, markers of meaning, signs of connection. The black hole's shadow is the cosmos's most profound shadow, but it is still kin to the shadows you see each day, the shade under a tree, the silhouette of mountains at dusk, the soft darkness cast by candlelight. All shadows speak of light. All shadows reveal form. All shadow bend a world into shape. The black hole's shadow is the grandest of these, a shadow that bends not only light, but also thought, bending us toward humility, curiosity, and peace. Picture now the night sky filled with stars. Somewhere in that sea of light lies a black hole, its shadow unseen to your eyes but real, bending forever. You cannot see it directly, but its presence shapes the galaxy. In the same way, many truths in life are unseen yet powerful. Love, memory, time itself, they bend the paths of our days, just as black holes bend the paths of light. The shadow reminds us that invisibility does not mean absence, that silence does not mean emptiness, that darkness does not mean despair. It reminds us that the universe, even in its quietest places, is full of meaning. So let the thought of shadows that bend forever be gentle. Let it be a comfort that the universe holds mysteries still beyond our reach, that there are horizons yet to be crossed, that there are truths still to be whispered. The shadow is not a threat. It is an invitation, a reminder to keep looking, to keep wondering, to keep dreaming. For just as light bends around the black hole, our thoughts bend around the mysteries we cannot yet solve. And in that bending, there is beauty. In that bending, there is poetry. In that bending, there is peace. The stories of black holes, time and collapsing stars have carried us through the quiet corridors of the cosmos, each one a gentle meditation on endings and beginnings. We have drifted with silent rivers of space-time, followed the gravity that eats the stars, stood before time's one-way door, listened to the dreams of collapsing suns, and gazed upon shadows that bend forever. Each story has been different, yet all have shared a single truth, that the universe is not only vast, but deeply poetic, full of patterns that echo our own lives. Black holes are not only science, they are mirrors, showing us what it means to move forward, to transform, to endure. In the silent rivers of space-time, we learned that time itself bends, flowing in currents and eddies shaped by gravity. The stars fall into those currents, and we fall into them too, every moment carried forward like leaves upon water. In the gravity that eats the stars, we saw endings that are not waste, but nourishment for the cosmos. Collapse, feeding creation, silence, shaping galaxies. In time's one-way door, we felt the humility of horizons, the truth that the past is sealed and the future the only path. Yet in that one-way flow, there is meaning, a reminder that each choice and each heartbeat matters. The dreams of collapsing suns taught us that we are children of stars, made of their gifts, living proof that even death can scatter seeds of life. And in the shadows that bend forever, we saw the beauty of limits, the art of light meeting gravity, the poetry of what cannot be crossed yet still reveals its outline. All of these stories whisper together. They tell us that endings are not empty. They tell us that silence is not void. They tell us that the universe is a cycle of giving, a patient rhythm of creation, collapse, and continuation. The black hole, often imagined as a devourer, is also a giver of form, a keeper of time, a guardian of order. It eats, but it also sculpts. It hides, but it also reveals. It is not an enemy of stars, but their final chapter, their lasting influence written in gravity's curve. To think of black holes this way is to see them as part of the same pattern that shapes forests, rivers, lives, and dreams. And what of us, small beings beneath the stars? We too are bound by time's one-way door. We too live in cycles of growth and change, of shining and fading, of giving and leaving behind. Our lives echo the lives of stars. We shine while we can. We share what we have, and when our time ends, what we leave behind becomes part of the world that continues. Just as galaxies are shaped by the invisible gravity of black holes, the lives of others are shaped by our presence, our choices, our love. Even when gone, we remain in the orbits of those who continue silent but enduring shadows that bend forever. So let this closing reflection be not of fear but of peace. The universe is vast, yes, and full of mysteries beyond our reach, but in those mysteries lies beauty. In horizons lies meaning. In shadows lies truth. When you look up at the night sky, know that you are part of this story. The atoms in your body were born in collapsing suns. The time you live is carried forward by the same currents that bend around black holes. The shadows you cast are kin to the greatest shadows in the cosmos. You are not apart from the universe. You are its continuation, its dream made living. And as you drift into rest, let these thoughts be gentle companions. Imagine the stars above burning softly. Imagine the galaxies turning, their centers anchored by silence. Imagine the black holes waiting, patient and calm, their shadows bending light into poetry. In all of this, there is no waste. In all of this, there is no end. Only transformation, only continuation, only the quiet flow of time, carrying everything onward. The universe whispers to you in its stillness, forward, forward, always forward, and within that whisper is peace.